United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Hey, what's up? My name's Noelle, and I currently am drinking Spindrift, which is sparkling water with real juice in it. And I think this is going to change the hydration game for me.
Ooh, and I'm Chelsea. I'm the character in the D&D party who gets awesome rolls but makes terrible decisions.
Is that you really when you play D&D?
I don't play D&D. I play Star Wars.
D&D
RPG.
though. Same
yeah,
thing.
I always say D&D instead because like when I'm like I play a Star Wars RPG and people are like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's D&D."
It's D&D but Star Wars. Well, you know what? How's that going for you?
It is so fucking fun. Oh my god. I was feeling really insecure for a while because my character wasn't good at anything.
Yeah.
But I've been collecting that XP. Just like a slow fucking drip. Like it's like your Spindrift, but
Yeah.
right into my vein. And
Yeah.
now my character's slowly turning into a badass.
Hell yeah. I'm
So-
excited for you.
We've been playing for almost 9 months.
Jesus, you've carried a baby.
Yeah, I'm about to give birth to a little Twi'lek
Yeah.
of my character.
That's
And,
exciting.
Andrew, who works over at Dr. Volt's, is my droid comrade named Jeeves. And he's like a little butler. And my character, like, you know how you have to roll for obligation?
Yeah.
My character is a thief. So he has this, like, piece of shit thief who's not good at it because of the, you know, the stats.
Yeah.
And he just walks around like she'll be stealing shit, and he has like a bowler hat, and he's like has his like umbrella over it. It's super ridiculous but fun. You know, you've played D&D before.
Yeah,
that can get away from you fast.
Oh, it gets away from you almost immediately. I've never had a session of D&D go well. You know what I would actually love? I would love a one night only D&D campaign. A pre-made story.
I'll hit up Ichabod. He has a Cthulhu one that's just been fucking ready to go.
One night only?
Yeah.
I love that.
We're going to play it on Halloween.
Oh, see, that's that shit I love. I fucking love that.
Let's do it and have it be like, record it and release it as like a bonus episode.
That's a good idea. Oh, we could just sit on it for the holidays.
Yeah.
We can take a vacation. Which we did not do this week because we are generous gods.
We are recording on a Tuesday
Yeah.
or Thursday. Actually, we record all the time.
Yeah.
We don't have like a set recording schedule.
No. You know, and honestly, I prefer it that way. And I know that some people find that absolutely infuriating,
I am one of those people.
but I get it. But also hear me out. We live in this miserable capitalist society where kind of like being free range, if you will, has been ripped from your hands. You can either choose to do a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and have the life absolutely sucked out of you, or you can do like the gig job, maybe being a waitress or a bartender or whatever, and you're all over the place with no schedule and you can't plan anything. Either option, all of your free agency has been taken and given to a schedule. And you know what's nice? Saying, fuck that. I do what I want.
It's true.
You know, like I do what I want when I want.
I mean, I enjoy our recording schedule. If one of the podcasts that I listen to go off schedule, I lose my fucking mind. I'm like, what is this bullshit? But also, like, they make money to do it. So
Yeah, that's the difference between
we donate
them and
all
us.
of our money.
Yeah, it's the difference between they and us.
Yes.
But yeah, also I feel like if the podcast you're obsessing with and stuff, like they want to take a week off or they want to release something late, fucking let them. Like, who fucking cares? Give yourself a little bit of free agency, some wiggle room. I don't care either way. But yeah, anyway, what was
And we're back. Noelle hit a button.
I didn't, the space bar pauses it.
my
That's
God.
interesting news
Yeah,
to me.
whoops. That's how it is on YouTube.
Well, who would have thought? Not me. Anyway, well, I was going to say something about this week.
It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it is Thanksgiving, which I don't like to acknowledge as a holiday because what a garbage holiday. That's like
my least favorite.
It's
It
like
always
celebrating the Holocaust. We shouldn't do it. It really is. The American Holocaust is
Right?
Thanksgiving.
It's like the beginning of it.
Really. But what I will say is that it should be used as a day to reflect on why you're grateful. And I feel like this year has been really challenging for a lot of people. I've kind of come to the consensus that I don't care. I love working from home. I love not having to see people or feel obligated to do things or easily canceling on things and blaming it on a pandemic. That's really exciting for me. There has been some losses, obviously, personally. And then overall, this is absolute garbage for the human race in general. But I think I'm thankful for the rebranding of this podcast. I'm thankful for the book club. And I am thankful to see overall ingenuity from different people. Just like, I think we were so set in complacency as like a species for a while. And then being thrown a pandemic not only has shown us who's the absolute garbage, who should be guillotined in a public square, but it's also forced like ingenuity and creativity in a way that like we haven't seen before. So I'm really thankful for that. I think it's really cool. Like I've seen some WWE TikToks pop up on my FYP, and it's incredible what they're doing with their live shows. They're doing a stadium like normal, but rather than having the seats filled with people, the seats are individual squares of people live online watching. So they're live reacting. And I'm just like, leave it to the WWE to like be this creative.
Man, they just had a pay-per-view Survivor Series on Sunday. So fucking good. Like, so fucking good. WWE is thriving.
Yeah, they really are.
I don't even know, like, the first few of watching wrestling when they didn't have an audience was like the Twilight Zone. Now it's like, I don't even fucking notice it. They stream the audience sound in, so like you're still getting the pops. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned WWE. Also, thank you, Undertaker did his final farewell this Sunday at Survivor Series. 30 years in the business.
It's tough out there for Pimp. What are you thankful for?
Thankful for you, Bish.
Thank
for
you.
holding me together this year. Thankful for the podcast. Thankful for Tara for always getting really excited whenever we post an episode that's over an hour long.
Yeah, that is a very specific happy thing that she really does. She really comes out of the woodwork to be like, hey, you guys, thank you for posting over an hour.
Almost stopped this research at 3 pages. And I was like, no.
She wants to...
pushing it to 5
She wants to hear it. She wants to hear it.
No, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm trying to not be a salty bitch all the time. So yeah, I mean, grateful for lots. So
good.
Thank you, everyone.
And there's a lot to be salty for, obviously. But it's nice to remember that there are moments of goodness.
Definitely grateful for perspective and seeing what matters. So, you know.
Yeah.
And also, don't let people if you're going somewhere for Thanksgiving, it's like low-key kind of shitty, but just be careful and don't let people be mean to you about it. I have to go see my family.
Yeah.
This is like our first holiday after my sister died. And if I don't go, I'm pretty sure my dad will die of a broken heart. Like, he has now like put it in his head that if he doesn't see us, that we will just straight up die.
Yeah, it's good.
So but that's a heavy topic.
Yeah, glad to know that the collective anxiety and paranoia and compulsions is family wide for you. It's exciting.
I will be wearing a mask the whole time. I'm just taking my food to go, but I will be hanging out. So,
yeah. I think like just don't be a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
Like truly, if you have the luxury of staying at home, you should. We have mini computers in our fucking pockets. Put a bitch on FaceTime. You can do a group FaceTime. Mm-hmm. It's really fun. Get on Zoom. What the fuck ever. Yeah, I just feel like don't be a fucking idiot. If you're out going to bars, going to restaurants, and then you go home and have Thanksgiving with your 65-year-old parents, I think you should fucking throw yourself off of a bridge. I don't think you should die from it, but I think you should be like forever paralyzed.
Right.
I think that's what should happen to you.
And also, I will say, Governor Herbert, I keep tagging him on social media, but he won't respond to me. Fuck you. Not shutting shit down, like leaving schools open, leaving bars open, letting sporting events happen.
Yeah.
Letting all of this stuff happen. And then shitting on people who want to like go meet up with their father or they're like a grandma. Like the people who like feel absolutely, I don't want to say pressured, but the people who are in the position where it's like, it's imperative that I see some people on Thanksgiving are also probably the people who are being super fucking careful during this whole thing.
Yeah. I also want to say there's some fun information I found out recently. So I have a friend who owns a bar in Utah. And he and I had a discussion. He was drunk and I was under the influence. And we were talking over Instagram after the Governor Herbert announcement. And he was like, you want to know some bullshit? When the pandemic first started back in March, bars had to email in to the state to ask permission to close, not clothes. They wear clothes. And currently, because the whole thing, let's call it like it is. What Governor Herbert is doing in Utah, and right now Utah is leading the charge, baby, number 1 in COVID cases. You know, it's exciting to be number 1 in something. Congratulations. We really earned this. We deserve this. It's exciting news. He basically said, shut down, emergency shutdown, except bars have to close at 10 p.m. But if you're not serving alcohol, you can stay open.
So stupid.
And that's where we can realize that this has nothing to do with the pandemic and everything to do with his vice grip on our nuts.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, back to what my friend and I were talking about. Currently, right now, if you were to close your bar for 10 days consecutively, you will get your liquor license taken away.
Yeah, there's no relief.
To which to some people would go, what does that mean? Utah only gives out a limited amount of liquor licenses every year because they're trying to, the separation of church and state is a punchline here. There is none. And that's how the church controls alcohol consumption in the state. So imagine you want to give your employees the safety of having 10 days off so they can isolate, whatever. It really is nothing in the scheme of things, but at least it's something. You can't, because your business will be threatened with losing their liquor license, which will be a whole other process of reapplying in money.
And it's essentially a lottery to get them.
Exactly, it is. And not only that, but the state is sitting on a gold mine. The state has been given funding, like emergency funding. And Herbert is just sitting on it like Scrooge McFucking Duck, when he could be using it to give these essential workers, quote unquote, who are not frontline medical workers, but these people whose entire existence relies on working at bars or restaurants or like salons, like anything that is not, it's not essential, but
It's
whatever.
Like service
yes,
industry
that's service
stuff.
industry shit. They could be giving it to them to allow them the safety and security of, isolating, and they don't. So it's wild because there are people in the service industry who don't have sick days or any of these benefits. And when they have to physically stay home, that means they're getting punished. They're not making money. I'm not saying give them a paid vacation. I'm saying help them, be safe. And it's incredible, honestly, just how much no one fucking cares, how this is all political puppetry because there's no enforcement of anything. There's no fines of anything. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. And between you and I and everyone listening, sometimes I really do think we deserve this. I really do. Sometimes I really do think that this pandemic is the Thanos snap. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, how old you are, what you've been, what you do. It's going to come for you. It's going to take half. And this is what we deserve as a society, because we have allowed, even the best of us have allowed this type of rhetoric for this like fake news, discrediting and disbelieving science. We've allowed the bastardization of quote unquote free speech to allow this type of bullshit to thrive, where we live in a world where there's a global pandemic that people are denying, breaking into ICUs locally to try to disprove it. We deserve this. We as a human race, we deserve this punishment. Like, no rest for anybody. Like, because even the best, most intellectual, heartfelt of us, we allowed this to happen. We allowed it to get this far away out of our grasp. And like, I know it sucks to hear and it sucks to say, and we're going to lose a lot of really good people. But you know what? Like, this is your wake up call. This is the wake up call that no one wanted, but everyone has to get. And we're going to continue to suffer until someone picks up and fucking listens.
Right. Well, because in America, like, we're so afraid of socialism that even responsible government choices are labeled as socialism when they're really not. It's just, that $1,200 didn't help anybody long term.
No. It's wild to see other countries essentially back to normal, and we are still here fighting amongst ourselves. This is like what I was talking about a while ago, that like we're never going to have the opportunity to be preventative because we're always reactionary as a country. That's why we're still dealing with issues that are 50 to 100 years old.
Yep.
We can't even begin to process the bullshit that is COVID and the denial of science, because like we can't even get on the same page here. You know? So, anyway, go fuck yourself, I guess, is my story, my end of that. I fucking, man, so I see some fucking anti-mask videos popping up on my, like, TikTok and shit, and I'm just like, I'll go to prison. I'll go to prison gladly. I'll do it. Man, I would rock a bitch. Oh my God. I would put them in the ground, dude. I would sit on top of them and swing until I was bleeding. I would just, you know what I mean? You know,
your eyes are just glazing over and you yell into the abyss.
Like, straight up, though. Like, I just can't, dude. I fucking can't. I'm sick of it. Like, I'm so over it. And you know what I gotta say? Don't be nice to him. Don't be nice. There's no, like, agree to disagree. No.
Right.
There's no agree to disagree. You lost that privilege when you decided to deny a pandemic that's killing people, deny science, and deny the easiest possible thing you can do to help prevent even one person from getting sick, maybe. You lost that right. You lost the right to decency. You lost the agree to disagree. No, fuck you. You don't get opinions. You don't get them anymore. You don't get them. I'm sorry, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't get them.
Time.
You don't. Yeah. Like, yeah. That's what I'm saying. You don't get to have opinions anymore.
Nope.
It sucks enough that you have rights. That's a problem to me in the first place. But you definitely do not have opinions. Nope. Nuh-uh. None of that. None of that. Like, oh, agree, disagree. But they're family. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if that's Jesus Christ himself. Fuck you. Like, fuck you with every fiber of my being. Fuck you. Push back on these motherfuckers. I don't care if it's your sister, your husband, your mom. I don't fucking care. Drag them. Drag them the fuck to filth. And like, I know that that's not like what you're supposed to do. And anyone who's like, you know, if they're in a cult, you're supposed to give them love and remind them of who they used to be.
Nah.
No, look where that got us.
Kool-Aid.
Right here. That's where the fuck that got us, Jim Jones ass motherfucker. Push back on these motherfuckers. So they've been getting away with it for too long. They get this whole like agree to disagree shit. No, drag them so hard till they don't talk to you anymore. So,
and then they'll stay away from you and you won't get COVID.
Yeah.
Problem solved themselves.
Make them leave the family. So then they don't kill the family. You know?
Right, you're not wrong.
You can be like, you know, I had a sister, but she died when she said that vaccines cause autism. So I haven't seen her. We rest in peace, you know? I don't know who this is in front of me, this fucking whack job shoving quartz crystals up her fucking
I feel like
pussy.
you may not be wearing a mask, but still can't recognize you.
Hey, put that on a shirt.
Yeah. Who are you even anymore?
But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I guess
popped off. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about today.
No, but you know what? It kind of does because what it is.
No, it doesn't even a little bit.
Yeah, because
a little bit.
You know, they say that Atlantis died because they had too much technology. The technology fucking surpassed their. Are we talking about Atlantis?
We are talking about Atlantis.
Yeah, they said that the technology Atlantis created was stronger than the people themselves, and because of that, they went under. And that's where we're at right now. And that's why you have to verbally assault your family members until they press charges. So anyway, we're talking about Atlantis.
You just yelled at me for like 40 minutes. How long have we been recording?
A minute, 20 minutes. I just been
20 minutes of yelling.
been feeling it, man. I've been feeling it.
Like, you have your creature mask on, so I just see the unmoving lips of the mask while you yell at me, and I'm just go to a different world. I appreciate it.
I just like needed to get it off my chest because sometimes I scream these things at Trevor, my dear partner, and he just looks at me and it just like, you're a lost cause, huh? Mm-hmm. And if I yell it at you, I know that you'll hear me out.
I do. I hear it and I agree with it. And there's a very deep intrinsic part of me, I'm going to say 99%, that doesn't want to fucking do anything for Thanksgiving. But I feel like there are some people out there, your hands are tied. I'm not saying my hands are tied. I can absolutely not go. I am choosing to go, but I am also choosing to take as many precautions as fucking possible. To roll the dice, and I realize it, but it is what it is. But I'm also wearing a mask everywhere I go, and I wash my hands, and I hand sanitize.
You're not out at the grocery store yelling at some 16-year-old at bag checkout because you won't wear a fucking mask.
And you know what? If you are fighting with someone on social media in your family, and you're worried to go too hard, tag me in Noelle.
I'll love to.
Far.
You know what I love doing? Crossing that line, baby.
Oh
my God. I will do it all day. I don't even have family anymore other than my parents because of that, okay? I'm not even lying, bitch. I will fucking play double dutch on the line. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit.
We ain't playing.
No. I play for keeps, baby.
Yeah, bring the pinks. Playing for pinks.
By keeps, I mean losses. I'm not here. I'm not here to make friends. This isn't RuPaul's best friend race.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Okay, Atlantis.
Anyway, Atlantis.
Okay, so this one got away from me a little bit. I know I say that a lot.
That's a phrase.
I wanted to go in at the top. I wanted to go into what you had talked about, like why Atlantis fell.
Yeah.
But now we're going to go into where is Atlantis
now.
Good. So let's start from the motherfucking top. Atlantis was first mentioned in 360 BC by Plato in some of his critical works. And according to the philosopher, Atlantis was located somewhere between the Strait of Gibraltar. Gibraltar.
What?
Whatever. It was a strip of ocean between Spain and Africa. Fairly small geographically. I'm sure, like on a map it's small. I'm sure in real life it's much bigger. But on a map it's like, beep, like a little,
yeah,
like a pinch of salt. So most popular myth states that Atlantis was a mythical community that's like sunk into the Atlantic Ocean some time ago. So I really want to talk about first why believing that Atlantis existed is not as ridiculous as some people may think.
Okay.
In fact, I even wrote a fucking thesis paper on it once.
You did?
Yeah, in college, talking about how Atlantis was actually the Minoan civilization that existed sometime around 2500 to 1600 BC.
Here's my thing. If you can get behind Pangea, you can get behind Atlantis.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, this isn't like, it'd be like, oh, I wrote a thesis paper on it. But it actually is a really cool idea, like, if it was Minoan society. This place actually existed. They had a huge ship fleet and were some of the first Europeans to have used written language. And everybody's going to know about this society because it has the famous Minotaur mythos. That's where it comes from.
Minotaur is half horse, half human, yeah?
I think it's half bull. Half ox? It's half horns, half human. And it was in the maze.
Okay, you keep
Half
talking.
horse, half human is centaur.
So, yeah, what the fuck is a minotaur?
It's like half cow, half. Anyway, so, but the fact that they had a fleet and they were the first ones to have like actual written language, means that they were actually really advanced at the time. So, what happened to them? Well, most people believe and agree. Half bull.
Half bull.
I said half cow. That's the same thing.
Half bull. Okay.
The guy who kills you in Doom.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so in 1600 BC, there was a massive earthquake, which triggered a volcano explosion. And obviously, such a cataclysmic event caused tsunamis, and you guessed it, wiped out the island. Then the nearby Greeks took advantage by like pillaging the rest of what was there, and they effectively wiped out the Minoan culture, which was adopted into mainland Greece.
Wait,
they
so when you say,
pilgrimed the Minoans.
what are you saying? What culture? Minimum?
Minoans.
Minoans? And
Yes.
that's minotaurs.
Minotaurs come from that island. So if people are like, what the fuck is Minoan?
Uh-huh.
The Minotaur is named for that island. That's where the myth comes
So
from.
numerous minotaur called Minoan?
No. Multiple Minotaur is called Minotaurs.
So
The Minotaur is
when you're
named
saying
for
Minoan, are
the
you
Minoan
saying like
island? Minoa.
Oh, okay, you're not saying like
No.
this people also included minotaurs.
No, right. The Minotaur is just a fun myth that originated out of the
Okay,
island.
cool.
The humans lived there.
Not
Human
minotaurs.
right. Not a conspiracy.
Uh-huh.
Humans lived there and this place existed.
Okay.
It was wiped out because a earthquake triggered a volcano and all these other things, and tsunamis wiped out the island. And then the Grecians who were nearby sailed over and they pilgrimed the Minotaurs, which means they went over and they destroyed their entire culture and then took credit for all the good stuff out of it.
Sounds about white.
Ooh, we're going to shit on Columbus a little bit too.
Can't wait.
To include that. So, most textbooks claim that no one ever crossed the Atlantic Ocean prior to Columbus. But most educated people, I made sure to put educated in there because I'm going to shit on everyone who doesn't believe this, agree that there's absolutely no way this is historically accurate. Not even a fucking conspiracy. Columbus was 100% not the first fucking person to do it. In fact, most of us have heard of the Norse explorer Leif Erikson, who beat Columbus by some 492
Leif Erikson
years.
Day.
Yeah. So, people, even our textbooks, which are owned by the fucking Rothschilds, want to say that it was Columbus. He gets all the fucking credit for it. No, the Rothschilds are bullshitters.
Columbus is a little punk bitch.
Yeah, he's a little like, remember how we talked about last episode how they grew clones to replace micro penises? Columbus would have taken advantage of one of those bigger micro dicks.
Honestly, if you see a Columbus statue, either draw a penis on its face or knock it over.
Yeah, put like an acid blanket on it and destroy it.
Yeah.
So Dr. Dennis Stanford makes the claim that the first people to cross the Atlantic actually did it before Leif Erikson did, and he thinks it was some 18,000 years ago in boats made of animal skin, and believes that they are the first colonizers of the United States. So to compare this time to Plato and Atlantis timeline, the year 360 BC is about 2,300 years ago. So this guy is saying 18,000 years ago. So very long time ago. So why are these Atlantic excursions important, you ask? So for the most part, it's important to recognize that Columbus didn't do shit we weren't already doing for thousands of fucking years. So fuck him. Fuck you, Columbus.
Dude, yeah. Fuck Columbus.
Also, it shows that mankind has been making interoceanic voyages for a really, 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 really long time. In fact, we were doing it 8,000 years before the mammoth even went extinct. So if we accept that this sort of travel is true, then we can begin to fully understand how different symbols spring up worldwide. What most of us are taught is that the popular explanation is Carl Jung's collective unconsciousness, which essentially means that mankind is on the same mental trajectory. So the same reason why the wheel was invented in one part of the world at the same time the other part of the wheel was invented in the other part of the world, or when fire was discovered, it's all been collective discoveries that happen at about the same time. And most people agree to that. It's just one of those things that we don't question. But, bitch, let's dive into what Carl Jung tries to explain away with this collective unconsciousness. So Peruvians and Egyptians are actually tied into a really, 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 really overlapping sort of narrative, and they have a ton of historical interactions. So here are the similarities between Peruvians and Egyptians, which we can argue collectively are on opposite sides of the world and never interacted in history. Until modern times, of course. So they both worship the sun, moon, and stars and hold insightful astronomical knowledge. They both built stone pyramids. They both mummified and embalmed their dead. They both had royalty bind and elongate their children's heads. They both divided their calendar years into 12 months. They both had women's orders of vestal virgins who made vows of celibacy. And if they broke that celibacy vow, both cultures punished women by burying them alive.
Good.
Both had animal sacrifices. List goes on and on. So some of that stuff I'd argue, like, not that cool.
Yeah, like the moon and the sun and the stars.
Yeah.
Everyone looks up and is like, that seems important.
Right. But technology to build pyramids, very unique.
The head thing is unique.
Head thing is definitely unique. Vestal virgins.
I mean, I put that in the middle because people are weird about
By
virginity.
burying them alive is unique. Burying alive is pretty unique.
I feel like
Most punished by fire, I would say.
Or stoning. I guess
Yeah.
that's fair.
So there was a book written by a guy named Ignatius Donnelly.
Sweet name.
I know, right? We got some good names coming up. He wrote a book called Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. And this is a quote from his book, is, what probability is there of 3 or 4 separate nations all advancing at the same speed to precisely the same arts and opinions? The proposition is untenable. Then he goes on to state that it makes sense that there must be an explanation that these civilizations on both sides of the Atlantic must have descended from one common source. Atlantis. So mostly,
Okay.
I just want to keep it in their brains that Atlantis existing is entirely fucking possible. And perhaps we can prove it.
So they're saying that the Peruvians and the Egyptians all come from the Atlanteans.
Yes. But another thing that, so for most of us, like, I specifically think of Atlantis as like a one small conglomerate city that sunk into the ocean.
Same.
But there are a lot of different theories.
Blame
that
Disney
say-
for that.
Yeah, fucking Disney.
Was
man.
it Disney?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are a lot of theories that say Atlantis didn't have to necessarily be one city, but it could have very likely been a global community.
That makes sense.
And we even have hard archaeological evidence of other underwater communities existing, and you can literally fucking book a trip to go see them right now. So this is not a conspiracy. So one example is the Cuban underwater city, which is a series of geometrical and symmetrical stones arranged in such a way that they resemble an urban complex, which in a nutshell is just, they represent hands-on planning. So plenty of experts in the business have commented on the structure and deferred any declaration for what they could be because of mainly 2 factors. The first is the structures are way too fucking deep in the ocean for any civilization at that time in history of when they could have been built to have been built. They just didn't have the technology. And the next one is that if that structure did sink, they said it would take like 50,000 years for ocean levels to naturally rise up. So they're like, there's no way society existed at that time. But simply put, these structures exist at a time and place. And because we can't explain where they come from doesn't mean that they should just be dismissed. And clearly there's some non-natural occurring structure and we have no idea who fucking put it there. So, and this is going to be kind of a theme with scientists when it comes to stuff like this, is that they're just very dismissive of claims because they can't prove them right.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about if something happened and half of the United States went, I don't know, underwater, covered in soot, whatever, right? And then some foreign intelligent being comes and does like an archaeological dig. What do you think that they would gather from what they find, you know?
Yeah.
Like a fucking jewel pod. Like, think about things that would like probably stick around. Like a phone, but it can't turn on. So it's just like this weird rectangular thing. Like, what would anyone extrapolate from the shit that they find? There's like a fun article this woman did. She's like an anthropologist and she did a random assortment of items. Like what would people think these are? And a lot of it was like weird sex things. Like, you know, like someone find a fucking spork. Yeah. Like what would they extrapolate from the things that made it around, stuck around? what would they think about us as a society? It probably wouldn't be a good snapshot or even close to what it is. So the fact that like there's shit existing that just doesn't match up with what they think or what they expect doesn't mean that it didn't fucking like exist and wasn't around and real. Such a weird aspect of science that like if it doesn't add up the way that they want, they just doesn't
and we
exist.
also try to like assign way more profound meanings to things when we don't totally understand them. So if I'm like, I guarantee you that 99% of the people in the United States have an altar in their home where they go to worship their own image every day, and the way that they worship that image is by slathering a like a meaningful balm into their mouth, and then they hold it, and then they look out. It's just fucking brushing your teeth. Like you can make it like sound completely like anything you can make it sound profound. You know?
Oh yeah, like, and I just think of all the things that like stick around like throughout time and history.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to believe that just because it's hardy and managed to survive a few thousand years means that it's like some pivotal point of their society.
Yeah. And I welcome anyone to go Google Cuban underwater city and tell me that that is an anomaly of nature. So this is the part where I get really excited because guess what I fucking found in my research?
Oh God, is it Antarctica?
Antarctica, bitch.
Oh my God.
It always comes to Antarctica. I nearly shit my pants. I was so fucking excited.
I bet you were.
It always, look at this, in caps. It always comes back to fucking Antarctica.
Why wouldn't it?
Always. So I did find a fun video that doesn't really prove anything.
Good.
It was fun.
Those are my favorite videos.
Oh my God.
The ones that have absolutely no meaning.
It did nothing. It added nothing. But I want to talk about like this fun little theory before we jump back into like, you know, things that are more tangible. But this video is called The Truth Behind Antarctic Atlantis Mermaid Conspiracy.
Oh, Jesus.
Words from the Lord Jesus.
Oh, God.
This lady.
This is what happens when you don't have universal health care.
Oh
That's
my God,
all I'm going to fucking say
this
right
lady,
now.
Like, it's a long video, and 95% of it is her just like praying for revelation.
That sounds 100% correct.
But it was fun because she claims that Atlantis was actually a series of cities established by Satan to create human mermaid hybrids who could travel by water to attack the Garden of Eden.
Yep.
It was actually just a social experiment with sinister origins.
Sounds true.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You motherfuckers. That sick bastard Satan created laboratories to create
laboratories.
And
Dee, get out of my laboratory.
Yeah, they're still beneath the waters of Antarctica. In fact, we've all been led to believe that Antarctica is cold, but really, it's the land of Satan's mermaids.
Oh my God.
Does that sound fun, though? I wish I was a mermaid. And how dare
fun, like staying home with chicken pox fun.
No way, man. If I was an Antarctic mermaid, I would self-actualize to Yoda level. I would be so fucking happy and just content.
Damn, dude. How long was her video? Like an hour?
No, it was like 12 minutes, but it felt like an hour because she was like, let me tell you, children,
11
the
minutes
Lord
too
put
long.
this in my head, and I now know that in Revelations, I pray for you.
Oh my God.
Like that the whole time. And then the last like minute was talking about mermaids.
Jesus.
I'm just drinking this delicious water.
I know, it's so fucking good. I can't wait to try the strawberry flavor. I'll be real with you.
Ooh, bitch. Bitch, don't throw me the good time.
I know it. Chug it.
Stay hydrated.
I just, universal health care. At the end of the day, it's a right. People deserve to be medicated. That video was 11 minutes too long.
Yeah. But what a title.
Yeah, what a title. As in she couldn't summarize it in less than 3 words. It had to be a fucking paragraph.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I like hearing about the old, if you can tie in mermaids and Antarctica and Jesus, I feel like she made that video just to waste my time.
Yeah, she did. That's your horoscope, dog.
All right, so now I'm going back into
not crazy shit.
History and science, yeah. So there is a map called the Piri-Reis map of the 1500s, which shows a small connection of land between Africa and Antarctica, and it shows that it is a non-iced coastline. So before you disregard the map, it actually has 24 points, which were accurate to half a degree in longitude. So to compare that, Western society did not match this level of accuracy.
Oh, you
want to
know? You want to know a fun fact about
Tell me.
longitude and latitude?
Yeah.
Unrelated to everything. You know the rapper E40?
No.
You don't. Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go. You don't know? Bay Area rap? E40? Anyway.
No, I'm so sorry.
So
my hair just
Chelsea
went more gray
is so
listening to you.
white. E40 is a rapper from Vallejo, California, which is in the Bay Area, around San Francisco, kind of.
Right.
Not really though, for people who know. So his name E40 is East 40 degrees is Vallejo, California, on a longitude latitude map.
Oh,
Isn't that fun?
That is fun.
Smart man.
Yeah,
So
that is neat.
I know.
I want to name myself after the alien parallel. That'll be my rapper name.
You should.
I watched the Hulu documentary about 6ix9ine, so I know a little bit.
Jesus Christ. That man is a pedophile.
Kind of.
No, yes, he is.
He filmed pedophilic acts, and that's how he disengages himself from the pedophilia.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Mister, I
he's
did not.
out now.
I
didn't
did
even know
not
he was out.
inhale. Sure thing, buddy.
Yeah, I did not know he was out. I thought he was going to jail forever. He's out, and he did not go into witness protection. He just fucking hangs out in New York with all the bloods he pissed off, waiting to kill him.
Good, honestly. Come get his ass.
So, yeah, I'm down for it. And he doesn't support his kid. He has a baby. Doesn't help.
That's probably good. He shouldn't be out of that child's life.
Well, financially, you should still fucking contribute.
Yeah, but everything else he can just go.
Yeah,
honestly,
I
I
agree.
bet that mom is like, you know what? I'll be poor as long as it means he's not around, and I
Actually,
support that.
That's exactly how she was.
Yeah,
She's I don't need him. I don't want him. He's a bad person.
Yeah, 1,000%. I would want no
So,
pedophile around my
And
baby.
It sounded like he was just an adorable nerd, and then he got some internet clout and turned into a fucking idiot.
I still think he should die. Your pop culture. You don't know who E40 is, but you watched the whole entire 6ix9ine documentary.
Yeah.
This is how I know your brain's rotten.
Oh my god, I put so much facts into this because I don't want anyone coming for me about the Smithsonian anymore.
Everyone did come to me about that still.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Chill out. Okay,
Go on.
So, anyway, this map, like, we didn't even have this level of accuracy with our maps. Like, I say us collectively as, like, the white man until, like, the 1700s. Also, I have said it fucking before, and I'm going to say it again. Google Earth does not show the same details of Antarctica when you zoom in on it, but it shows everything about Area 51. There's something fucking going on there. And in fact, the Trans-Antarctic Mountains of the Palmer Peninsula that run through Antarctica used to connect to the fucking Andes. That's how connected Antarctica used to be to, like, land masses. And this also supports... Do I have a hair on me?
I don't know.
I'm like using my hand to speak, and Noel just reaches out and starts fondling my brain.
I saw something on it, but it's not there.
It's just my arm hair is long. God. So anyway,
Okay.
so this supports the fact that, and also it's cool if you think about, there is a mountain range going, like a old ass mountain range that goes to Antarctica, which would actually separate Antarctica into two separate continents that are only superficially connected via ice, leading to the idea that Antarctica doesn't necessarily mean is connected or is shaped how we always thought. So it could be a half that is much smaller, half that is much bigger. And so, yes, if you're wondering, Noel, there is evidence of early humans on Antarctica. In 1893, Captain Larson discovered petrified wood on Seymour Island and an area that had dozens of clay balls put on top of pillars. Some people try to say this is just the way the basalt, like, broke down, but they looked it looked very on purpose.
You know, I discovered something recently when I went to southern Utah that made me question everything. And it was in this national park, and they call them Moki marbles. And it's the way that the wind hits these red rocks at a certain angle at a certain time, and what the red rocks are made out of. It's just the perfect everything that it slams into these crevices and creates what is a marble looking like perfect round circle thing. And it's just by the elements creating like the way that they hit the rock, and they'll like come off and pile together. And if you were not to understand and just look at it, you'd think that someone purposefully was making these because they're so symmetrical and they're like in these weird piles.
Don't dismiss.
I'm
my
just saying.
killer balls
I'm just
with
saying.
Science.
There's a lot of weird shit that happens naturally that makes you go like, now what the hell?
That's fair. I will accept that. Also, fuck you for coming at me with science.
Sorry.
But as I've said before, we'll just dismiss that point completely. Moving on. Admiral Byrd, who I love,
Oh, great.
returned from his various trips to Antarctica and made claims that he believed the climate there was more habitable than what we were led to believe. This is not conspiracy science now. We have talked about him a million times, and there are oases on Antarctica, not a conspiracy, where the soil level gets to be 77 degrees. Not a fucking conspiracy. Here's something that is 100% true. Also might kind of be a conspiracy.
Oh, God.
That one of the most decorated military men in history spent the last days of his life away from friends and family in forced solitary confinement. Also, you want to know who financed his trips? Goddamn Rockefellers.
Well, I can believe that.
And guess what?
What?
When Admiral Byrd established what was called Little America in Antarctica, it fell into the fucking ocean and was destroyed. Not a conspiracy. Little America died. And there are geothermal heated lakes in Antarctica that further offer evidence that humans could have thrived on the continent, even subterraneously. In fact, the Russians at Klostok Station drilled 2 miles beneath the ice into an underwater lake they called Lake Vistok. There were active bacteria in the area of Antarctica which had thrived completely sealed off in this like perfect ecosystem for nearly 15 million years. There is also a massive magnetic anomaly in the east coast of this underground lake, which measures about 65 by 47 miles. And some scientists think that the thinning of the Earth's crust caused the anomaly, while others state that dimensions of the anomaly could be remnants of an ancient city. Also, I want to credit Scott Dutton and his amazing research that he did for the following information that he has made available about Antarctica and Atlantis. So,
Yeah, I hear you messing the two names up.
Antarctica and Atlantis. They're the same thing now. I'm going to fucking tell you how.
Oh, God.
So what we have all been conditioned to think is that the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans are these two completely separate masses of water, especially when you look at it from the westernized map. The westernized map being the one where the United States is in the middle, you have the Pacific on the west, and the Atlantic on the east. But if you take the map and you just tilt it so that we're looking at Antarctica is like the center view, you'll see that like they're fucking not that far apart. And it always weirds me out to look at maps from like different points of view because it really does challenge your worldview. But
that the United States isn't the center of everything?
Yeah, right?
I know.
But
Strange.
like, dude, there's parts of like Antarctica where you feel like you could just throw a pebble and just hit like South America, you know? Which is not a conspiracy. So Plato talked about this idea of a quote-unquote opposite continent often in his writings, and he acquired the record of Atlantis from his ancestor named Solon. And in Solon's time, they thought of land as like a very large island consisting of, I'm going to say some names and they're going to sound really familiar, but Greeks named these areas very differently. So they called them Asia, Libya, and Europe. But don't think that these are like the standard areas, because they only thought it was those essentially three things in a very slightly disjointed Pangea type shape.
Okay.
And all of it was surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. So just think of like a clump of land, nothing around it but the Atlantic. So what they thought, so this doesn't go to prove the truth of anything, but it just shows how we're going to explain why Plato may have thought Atlantis was where it was, because in his mind, all of land was much closer than it actually was, and then everything else was the Atlantic around it. So the Pillar of Hercules, this is not a conspiracy, are parts of the Strait of Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
And as we mentioned earlier, it separates the Mediterranean Sea from the rest of the outer ocean. And these pillars were the limit of the known world to Plato. So you pass those out of the Mediterranean and go into the Atlantic, they think it's the like end of the fucking earth.
Mm-hmm.
So he talks about Atlantis being this landmass that was bigger than Europe and Asia combined. And on his worldview, based on their geography, that means it would be about bigger than the lower 48 states of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not literally Asia and Europe. It's in his mind, in his definition, the lower 48 states. So he also states that Atlantis was high above sea level. And if you think about a landmass, it's about the size of the lower 48 states and has the highest above sea level measurements. What do you fucking get? Not a goddamn conspiracy. Motherfucking Antarctica.
Yeah.
Hits all of that.
Unfortunately.
Yep. And I Googled it. Antarctica is the highest altitude continent on the fucking planet. So, in 1665, a German priest named Athanasius Kircher
Doesn't sound German at all.
I know. Published a book called Mundus Subterraneus.
Mm-hmm.
Mundus Subterraneus. There
Come
we go.
on, get your Aryan out.
Fuck. He had this in this book, a map, which was stolen by the Romans after the fall of Cleopatra. Not like immediately after the fall, but just in the time that came after Cleopatra, which depicted ancient Atlantis, calling it the site beneath the sea. Now, because the Nile flows the way that it flows in the southern hemisphere, Egyptians thought south was north and depicted it as such. This means that they would have put Atlantis above them literally, but geographically we would think it was below them. So this means that the map would look differently than ours, especially when we consider things like global warming. So what we see in Kircher's maps is an ice-free Antarctica, which he clearly calls Atlantis. But in the text, it was described as being north of Egypt, but really south, because they were talking about how the Nile, they're pointing it the way the Nile flowed. So, also in Greek mythology, there's a story of Phaethon, who talks, he's the son of
Phaethon. It's the lesser known evolution is Phaethon. It's the Christian one.
Leafeon, you son of a bitch. The sun god Helios' son, this guy, P Daddy, in this myth, it talks about how the sun god Helios allowed his boy to drive his chariots, which AK would be the sun. So he does a terrible fucking job, and he goes way too far away from Earth, which causes, obviously, like, Earth freezing in the myth. And then when he overcorrects and comes too close, it causes, like, massive, massive fires on the Earth. And so the only way for Zeus to stop the destruction of the massive, like, flooding and everything was to take Phaethon the fuck out, and he did this obviously with a lightning bolt. So this is significant because the story specifically talks, like, getting myth out of the way. It talks about the sun's pattern and waters rising. So when Solon was on his travels, he told this story to an Egyptian priest who kind of dismissed him and said how often it is that the Greeks want to take credit for having this myth, but it really isn't the beginning, because this Egyptian priest told him that mankind will continually destroy itself with fires and water, and that it's absolutely happened before. So the priest talked about Solon's belief in P-Dog's story, and it's just, and how it tied into their own mythos. And I lost my place where I was reading. Oh, right here. Even in the Bible, we talk about a flood. Even the Utes, which Utah is named after, talk about a very similar myth about a sun god not doing his job and was punished by the elders by having to take the same path for all eternity. And we've all heard the Great Flood story before. And like, so this is just a lot of different cultures' ways of explaining the science that's happened to Earth. So the Utes are fun because they are linguistically connected to the Aztecs. And guess what we find in their writings?
What?
A mythical white island named Aztlan, which was destroyed and sunk in a deluge. In fact, we can use a lot of Native American lore to talk about Antarctica being Atlantis. But let's actually go into geography. Fun geography.
Oh my god. Okay. So do you right now think that Atlantis is Antarctica.
Hell yeah, bitch.
So you don't.
How fucking fun is that?
You don't. I mean, if we want to play with that, I guess that makes sense because no one's been able to find Atlantis. But then again, we also don't even know what's under our oceans. We know more about what's in the sky in the never-ending universe than what we do in our own oceans. So it's that's a flip-floppy thing to think. But if you want to go ahead and say like the whole reason why we can't find Atlantis is because it's just Antarctica.
Isn't that fun?
That is fun.
It's fucking fun, right?
Can like sonars penetrate the ice and like show things that are underneath?
I think they drill into the ice, like but I'm sure that they have sonar that can kind of do it.
I mean, I don't know how the technology works. I've only seen it off of the shitty Skinwalker Ranch series where they did like essentially like on terrestrial sonar to see if there was anything underneath the ground because they wanted to know if there were like UFOs buried underneath the ground of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they could do that same thing.
I'm sure they fucking can because that's a technology that we use all the time. We're constantly using sonar to like look into our Earth's crust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder.
I'm sure it happens. It did not come up in this research somehow.
But I just a thought.
Look into it.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Just a little nugget for you to chew on.
You know what still fucks with my head is thinking that how continents aren't just like floating on water, but they literally connect all the way down. And I don't know why it fucks with me so bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't it fuck with you?
No.
They're like little like...
I lived on Maui. I got to watch islands be created.
It's always fucked with me. Like I know that, but like my brain, when I think about like Antarctica, it just thinks of this like giant like black like just nothingness floating underneath it, which I know isn't true scientifically, but that's like how my brain is like, no, that's how you think.
Yeah.
I'm like, good. Anyway.
Yeah. You have to think of like the Earth's crust is almost like a pimple and you just squeeze it and land comes out and then it moves.
Yeah. That's how I know. That's what I know it is. Mm-hmm. But the fun part of my brain is like, nah, bitch, that's just the pizza you ate earlier.
I get it.
On your face.
I mean, I get it. That's also how I feel about when I see the word pterodactyl. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. It's like,
it looks like pterodactyl.
Yeah, it does.
So,
and it created like a whole new dinosaur of people just mispronouncing it.
Mm-hmm. So, that's also, sometimes you know things, but then your brain says, no, we're going to scramble it up.
Yeah.
I get it.
We got them soft sponge brains.
I know it, man. You're just a fall away from being goo.
Seriously.
I know
it's
it.
Scary stuff, man.
I know it.
We just vibrate our brains into jello.
Yeah, I know. You can just vibrate your brains into knowing nothing. And honestly, sometimes that sounds good.
Dude, I vibrate my brain into knowing nothing every night when I have my glass of wine before I go to bed.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to be lobotomized a tiny bit. You just want a little scramble.
I've thought about it. I don't think it would be that bad. Just kind of stab my pituitary gland. Just hopefully I don't kill anyone.
Word on the street is the side effects of lobotomies are unfortunate.
Yeah, but you have those people who get their brains literally cut in half and they're fine.
Describe fine.
Fine. They're thriving.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh my God. So in Charles Hapgood's 1958 book called Earth's Shifting Crust, he claimed that some 12,000 years ago, there was a massive event that displaced the continent that has come to be known as Antarctica. In fact, part of his theory states that Atlanteans didn't drown in some flood event. No, he claims they actually fucking froze to death. And those who weren't able to get off the continent, well, they had to leave their technology behind, but they eventually went on to create the Aztec, Mayan, and Egyptian empires. So in a nutshell, they just fucking scattered.
That's where it all collects.
They took their technology with them.
So I had the Egyptians and who else was it that you said? The
Aztecs and Mayans.
You said like the Egyptians and Mayans because they're the furthest away from each other.
Yeah.
That's why they be fucking squeezing heads and shit.
Yep. Also, before you take a huge shit on his scientific theory, guess who wrote the foreword to his book?
Who?
Albert fucking Einstein. So sit on that.
I don't think Einstein's that great, but that's a different conversation for another day.
But there's a lot of drama in the scientific community.
Always is, baby. Not surprised.
Because science has always take others seriously if their ideas go against the status quo.
Yeah, we know about Tesla, bitch.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's no move to correct history.
No.
They're just going to keep
going on.
going hard in the paint.
Yep.
They're just digging graves.
Mm-hmm.
So all Hapgood really talked about was that our crust moves differently than how we believe, and it lit him the fuck up in the scientific community. So right now, the popular theory is just tectonic plates, like our skulls. They're just a bunch of plates, and they move around the brain of the Earth.
Mm-hmm. And that's how earthquakes and volcanoes happen.
Yeah. Hapgood wanted to make the argument that it's not just continents floating around on tectonic plates, but it's the entire Earth's crust moves around like the molten lava, magma. Like it's all one thing that kind of shifts around with little pieces that have broken off. So it's like if one tectonic
I could get
plate is
behind
moving,
that.
it's not that crazy,
Yeah,
right?
it's not that crazy. If tectonic plates are like these chunks, these broken off chunks, and everything used to be kind of like a tiny ball within a bigger ball.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like moved around.
Yeah, it's really not that weird.
Yeah, it's not that crazy.
And he talks about like when the crust moves, and like there are different ways that the crust can move, and we'll get earthquakes and it's more controlled. But when the entire crust moves position, say like when our magnetic forces shift on Earth, that's not a conspiracy because our magnetization has shifted. It happened on Mars too. But he's saying that when something like that happens, it would fuck with the way that people are orienting themselves. Like they would just get crazy vertigo. And he described it as something that the sky would appear to fall beneath the ocean. And this is similar lore to what the Atlanteans experienced in concerns of their city being destroyed. Is it just fucked with the way that they saw shit. This massive shift happened. Their crazy vertigo.
Well, I was even that's a weird line to go on because I was gonna be like, sure, if we want to believe that like tectonic plates in this other theory was just kind of like all together and then pieces have broken off and but for the most part it was this one unified thing, and that causing a magnetic change caused severe weather change, climate change, which caused a once tropical beachy Atlantis to become a frozen over ice tundra.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's not that crazy,
No.
right? It's like, oh, cool, because like all this other stuff is just theory that we're supposed to believe. But if people bring up like new scientific discoveries, they shouldn't be like shunned and kicked out of the community. It should just be like, like that seems plausible. Why can't we work to prove it isn't real?
Yeah.
And maybe it is super fucking real. I did not find anything that. I think what happened with this dude is he mentioned Atlantis and then everyone just shit on him.
I mean, yeah.
So before anyone wants to dismiss all of this, I want to bring up Beringia. This is the place that existed between Alaska and Siberia some 12,000 years ago. And it used to have life and yes, even humans. And this is not a conspiracy. All of us had talked about like the transatlantic route or whatever that used to connect us to Russia, like Alaska to Russia. But what happened was continental change, and whether this be like tectonic plate shifting or global warming, something happened to cause sea levels to rise and now is hidden within the ocean. You can talk about Beringia, and it is 100% believed in fact that something happened and is now hidden underwater, and we just don't have access to that land anymore. But how come we can't talk about that with Atlantis? So conclusion of this mind thought is like, what the fuck are they hiding? And is Atlantis only being buried as forbidden archaeology because yet again it reveals the further truth of Antarctica?
Well, if we want to play off of this line and say that the whole reason why there's a conspiracy around Antarctica is because it is actually Atlantis and they have pulled back some ice caps or what the fuck ever and found some shit, because the other train of thought is that Atlantis was super technologically advanced beyond anyone's comprehension. So if we want to say maybe they're investigating that, they don't want anyone to know, I could get behind that. I'm not anti-Atlantis. Do I think Atlantis is some mermaid fantasy land with like tridents and shit? No. Do I think Atlantis was probably one of those societies that existed and then by whatever type of continental drift or climate change happened that make that shit go under? Yeah, absolutely. That shit happens all the time around us. I mean, shit. I remember right when I was leaving California, We had one of the worst droughts on record. I mean, that's probably broken now, but Folsom Lake started to like dry up and they found a whole fucking city under there.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
The tops of roofs were like being shown and everyone was like, oh shit.
But like, why can we talk about this, but then we mention Atlantis and people think that you're on like some fucking nut job? Like,
that's
a fun myth.
Yeah, I really think it's because like Atlantis has been tied in with such high fantasy.
I would agree.
You know?
But it's like on that same tier of flat Earth and Antarctica for me. Like, I think Antarctica is the gemstone of the flat Earth conspiracy. Why? It always just comes back to it, you know? Like, what is going on in Antarctica that makes it any theory tied to it is just immediately 100% dismissed.
I mean, I think that's at the end of the day, if we were to have a moral of the story of this entire podcast, it's that in the center, you might have to dig pretty deep, but in the center of every conspiracy theory is a tiny speck of truth.
Yeah, and good luck finding the center of Antarctica because Google Earth blacks it the fuck out.
Oh, man. I hope one day you come into money enough to get yourself on a private charter and take a swirl over Antarctica.
You can go on cruises that are kind of close.
A cruise.
It's not what I want, though.
Honestly, take every cruise and yeet it into the fucking sky, man. Fuck cruises.
I'm going to see if I
White
can go
trash, petri dishes.
I'm going to go on an Antarctic expedition.
You should.
And I am... Cyber Monday sale. 21% off.
Of what? Of the cruise?
I guess.
But
plus $1 up front, 21 deposit. Yeah, it's
you
a
don't
cruise.
want to fucking do that.
I don't want to go on a
garbage.
cruise. I want to go on an excursion.
Yeah, you're going to have to like meet someone. You're going to have to get that type of money that makes Mount Everest climbs happen.
Okay, Oliver, plug your ears. Whoever is out there who wants to go with me to Antarctica, I will give you my butthole virginity.
Wow, that's a big get.
Yeah.
Well, you know, maybe post that on Parler and someone will get at you.
Oh my God. Speaking of Parler, I've been having so much fucking fun on there.
That's unfortunate to hear.
Whatever. I sent you that text. There's like a huge Trump rally that's happening and this like group is trying to go and I'm infiltrating the group by saying, I will pay for everyone's hotel and travel. Meet me at this place. And then obviously I'm not fucking coming. And then they're not going to have any other time to plan to go to their racist rally. I'm going to ruin their trip by nothing, by lying on the internet. It's easy.
It is easy. So, I'm proud of you for that. Also, you wanted to talk about,
fucking Battle
Pug. Yeah. Also, people want some reading lists as we go into this holiday. People want some shit to read, a graphic novel / comic book wise.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at somebody. Sorry to go
Apollo,
back to this.
You were on the bed, weren't you? You fucking asshole. Did you hear it?
Yes. Some of these trips start out at a mere $15,000.
Jesus. Also, I like how I'm yelling at him and you were just soothing him. You're petting him.
I know, you're yelling at him and just petting him. Well, he came by me.
Go lay down.
Okay, so recently my graphic novel book club read Battle Pug. And it was one of those things where I first heard it and I'm like, I don't want to read this shit because there are so many graphic novels out there that are so dad cringy where it's like, what will the kids like? And they write these stupid token pieces of garbage, trash literature. And I have to read them for Bleeding Cool. And they're fucking terrible. So when someone suggested Battle Pug, I was like, here we fucking go. I was so wrong. It is Beastmaster meets like fucking.
Also, you gotta stay on the microphone, bitch.
Oh, sorry. I'm just wanting
You're getting
to talk.
too excited.
Sorry. But essentially, it's in this mythical world where there's mages, and some of them can control animals, and some of them can control like plants, and some of them can control rocks. But there's one guy. It's like fucking Highlander meets Beastmaster. It's so fucking good. The story is amazing. If you're local and you go to Dr. Volt's and you get Battle Pug and you say that you're there for book club, Chelsea sent you, you will get a discount on it. And it's a pretty good discount. I think it's like 20%.
Nice.
So absolutely 100% read that. It is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I
got some messages of pictures of Battle Pug and you were like, all I can hear is Cora's snoring.
Oh man. And it's fucking cute. Like the art is dope and it's written in an adult way. It doesn't the storyline actually like gave me like goosebumps at some points because like I was reading it and like the story just hits in such a way and you're like, holy fucking shit. So it's very deep and it's also pretty fun. The art's consistent throughout, which is like such a rare gem in comic books these days.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely read Battle Pug. It does get dark, so don't think it's just like some cute little kid's story.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wouldn't let children read it because there's like a lot of played on nudity and stuff and a lot of swearing. So
who cares?
Battle Pug. I would say like let your kid read it if they're okay with nudity and swearing.
Yeah.
I'll probably let my niece read it and she's only 10. So
good. What other recommendations do you have?
We just did another one. Let me look.
Cora, you ain't battling nothing. You can't even breathe. I hope that I can edit her out, man. It's been so bad these last two episodes.
I listened and I couldn't hear it last time, but that doesn't mean anything. Sorry, I'm having like such a brain fart because all I can think about is Antarctica. So Battle Pug was good, and then
are you just looking up articles you've written?
New Mutants, Demon Bear.
Demon Bear.
The Demon Bear Saga by New Mutants. So the New Mutants movie came out and it was loosely based on this.
Mm-hmm.
I would say still give the movie a shot, but it's
mixed reviews.
It's better than most DC movies, but it's not the best Marvel movie. So that's kind of the tier that you're on. But the Demon Bear Saga is a horror comic, and it's really similar to how the movie is, but essentially Danny can create people's worst fears and make them come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And this fucking demon bear literally has the power of like decimating everyone. The magic in it is cool. The writing is fucking top notch. And it's written by Chris Claremont, who's like the king of X-Men.
Mm.
So you're going to get a really good story. The art is crazy cool. And you can buy the graphic novel totally complete. You don't have to read 1,000 different things, and you don't have to read any other X-Men story. You may not recognize some of the characters in it without it, but Demon Bear Saga, really fucking good.
Fun.
And the next one is Garth Ennis's Welcome Home Frank. I believe Garth Ennis wrote it, but Welcome Home Frank is a Punisher story. And Punisher has been so pussified lately because of fucking cops.
Oh boy.
If you want to read a good fucking Punisher story, pick up Garth Ennis Punisher. I believe the name of it is Welcome Home Frank. But it is Punisher the way he was meant to be written.
Hell
and
yeah.
It is good.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so. I went off a little bit this weekend. As we were driving, and I saw a lifted truck with 2 Punisher Blue Lives Matter stickers on the back of it. And again, my poor partner who has to just listen to me go off, probably never read a fucking graphic novel in his life. And I'm like, you want to know some fucking shit? But it's true, man. It's true. And the creator himself, even in like Punisher 13, did a whole
Conway.
Yeah, it did a whole entire like 4-page spread of an interaction between Frank Castle and the cops. And Frank Castle literally says like the bastardization like of what you've done, what you represent, and trying to claim me. You're wrong, and I'll fucking come for you for it.
Yeah.
The one thing I will argue though is he says if you want a hero, find Captain America.
No, don't.
I disagree with that.
Captain America is the best superhero. Period. Point.
Sure, I agree. No, I completely agree. But if when police use Frank Castle and the Punisher as their image, they are basically saying, "I am for the tyranny. I am for the villain," because Frank Castle doesn't give a fuck who you are, where you've been. Like, Frank Castle kills cops. Frank Castle kills women. Yeah. He doesn't fucking care. Like, if you're in the path of wrath, you're going to go down.
Due process and everything that makes
exactly. He is the opposite of justice, and he says it. Like, he is not justice. He is bloody revenge. He is not the hero. He is not the good guy. He is the opposite of it. And that's Frank Castle's whole entire thing. He wasn't even supposed to be an anti-hero like Deadpool. He was supposed to be the villainization, the bad guy, the urge that, you know, like it's just Frank Castle doesn't even fall into the hero's story. He's not a hero at all. And when they use and attach Punisher to like a cop movement, which is supposed to be justice and righteousness and order, and it's the complete opposite. You're basically saying, no, I'm an outlaw.
Yep.
And I don't follow the rules, which is not great. And even when people attach themselves to Captain America, you want to be like, you're wrong, because Captain America, how many times has, started a coup against the government that he is painted to represent?
Absolutely. Because
he sees the corruption in it. Even Captain America's entire creation was based off of imperialism and a military superiority complex. That's the whole reason why he exists. He was built to defeat fascism.
Yep.
At the end of the day, like point blank. And when you have a movement such as Blue Lives Matter, who says that anti-fascism or Antifa is a terrorist organization, you are not Captain America.
Absolutely not. And when it comes, I've ended friendships over Captain America.
Yeah.
I will die on my Captain America hill.
Yeah, no, I agree. Captain America is the CEO of Antifa, baby.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, so when you see, when both of them, right?
Yep.
Because when you get Blue Lives Matter people claiming the Punisher, they are basically saying, I am above the law. I am not the law.
Yep.
I am chaos. I am vengeance. I am violence. And when you see them claiming Captain America, you go, no, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Captain America, CEO of Antifa, baby.
100%.
We are anti the authoritarian state.
Yeah.
We are the voice of the people, not the voice of the government, not the voice of the police, not the voice of the military. We are anti-military.
Absolutely. If they want to claim any superhero, they can fucking have Booster Gold, because you can just pay to put a sponsorship on his fucking uniform, and he is all about it.
There you go.
Like, fuck him. I'm so over the cop hero movement, and it's like, if you want to be a hero, fucking act like a hero. Like, in what universe are these top tier we're about to go to comic book theory. In what universe are these top tier heroes even killing anybody? Like, their darkest times are when someone died. Like, you had old school Batman once hung a mental patient out of his plane and hung him to death, and Robin was like, gee willikers, Batman, that's harsh. And he's like, it's better this way. Like, that's the foundation on what America was built. And those are the ideas that represented what our society fucking thought. But now we have evolved into such a way that we know what the ideal tier is. We know it's the Supermans, and we know it's the Captain Americas. But then you have this fucking filth identifying with the bullshit of Frank Castle. And you see him with the Blue Lives Matter stuff. It's because they don't even understand what they fucking stand for. And if you want to bastardize Frank Castle being like, oh, the Punisher, sure, dude, but why don't you hit up one of these fucking clone clinics and get a bigger dick while you're at it, you piece of shit. Get the fuck out of my face.
No, it's so true though. Like you were saying, the darkest moment in any top tier superheroes storyline, even from the back when they were created to current, is always going to be where they grapple with being too bad, which is always hurting someone.
Absolutely.
Or taking their life. That is the dark point. Violence is lethal violence is never the answer or the option. Captain America died before he gave into this imperialist, fascist American government.
Yep.
You're not even close to Captain America.
Iron Man tried to take it to the streets of Manhattan when all the heroes were fighting, and Captain America was literally like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to participate in this bullshit. He didn't even respond with any violence, he was like, yeah, I'll fight you on your turf, but you try to take it down into Manhattan. I'm not fighting you. And he died for it. Captain America, I think issue 50 or 51.
Yeah.
So this is also a rant. This is the tangent episode.
I know, man. We got a bunch of them. But anyway, I'm just sick of it. But it goes back to God forbid these people do research. God forbid they know what they are talking about before they open their fucking mouths.
Yep.
Because if you see any cop or any military personnel with a Punisher thing on their shit, call their sergeant, call whoever, narc on those motherfuckers.
Call
because
them the fuck out.
They are literally saying, I agree with being above the law. I agree with working below the law. I agree with vengeance, and I agree with violence that is unjustified. I agree with being
100%.
both the judge, the jury, and the executioner, because that's what Punisher is. And if you agree with that, you should have every single title taken away from you. You should not defend the public because you're not for public interest or
Amen.
public
Fucking
safety.
sit on that.
So,
Sit on that and twirl.
yeah. Fucking Blue Lives Matter fucks trying to cuck my man's Frank Castle, you little bitch.
How dare they?
How you can't. You can't.
And we won't let you.
I won't. I'll die on the hill.
Same here. I'm on the hill.
Yeah.
I got asthma, but I'm not reaching for my inhaler because I'm still yelling.
I feel you.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's that on that.
Anyway, Atlantis is real and it's Antarctica.
Yeah. So
slap that on a shirt.
right. That is exciting news to think about, though. Be safe. Eat a lot. Be responsible. Argue with your family members. Argue with people who claim Punisher for the Blue Lives Matter movement. And I guess chew on the metaphorical turkey that Atlantis is Antarctica.
Praise that. Hail that shit. I agree with everything you just said.
I'll say I'm feeling it now more than ever. Hail Satan.
Also, hail Puffin. I should have said I'm grateful for him.
Oh, yeah, you fucking bitch. I'm going to tell him.
No,